Remember when Malika Andrews was this incredible sports analyst that everyone tuned into ESPN to hear her mind-blowing analysis on sports? Walk it by yourself. Now walk it by yourself. Yeah, me neither.
Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.
So let me give you just a little bit of history here. The Me Too movement was started in 2006 by this woman named Tarana Burke. Okay, the purpose of the movement was to empower women of color who have been abused, right? And I think that's a great cause. The movement didn't actually go viral until 2017. Well, guess what ESPN, a sports channel, a sports network, guess what they did in 2018? They hired this woman by the name of Malika Andrews, right? Okay, and you might say, well, why is that important? Well, Malika Andrews is a modern day feminist, right? And she doesn't have to proclaim it. We can all see it. And there's a difference between being a modern day feminist and fighting for equality for women. It's not the same thing. I just want to clear that up for you, right? So about 6 or 7 months ago, for those of you who don't know, I covered this story of Ime Udoka, the Boston Celtics head coach, who was caught in this scandal, right? He had an affair. He's a married man. He was a married man at the time. I believe he's still married now. He was a married man, and he was apparently having an affair with some people within the organization, right? And the story blew up, right? And a lot of people in media and everyday life was wondering, why is Ime Udoka's name the only name that's being said? Because it's being reported that it was a consensual relationship. Well, Malika Andrews didn't like this. She didn't like that people was focusing on the women. So Malika Andrews decided to go on Stephen A. Smith's show and check him and put him in line for raising the same question.
It said in the numerous news reports, it was a consensual relationship that violated organizational policy. So only he is in violation of the company policy. The woman who elected to have a consensual relationship with him is not in violation?
This is not about pointing the finger. Stop. What became apparent to me in this press conference is that we do not have all of the information here. And the fact that we are sitting here debating whether somebody else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women.
First of all, let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening.
But it didn't stop there. She then decided to go back onto her own show, right, NBA Today, and she decided to check Kendrick Perkins, who raised the same question that everybody was wondering.
Well, one thing, Zach, that you touched on was just this gross focus on identifying unnecessarily women's names that may or may not be involved. And I think it is it isn't too harsh to say that that was a failure by many people, including folks within our own industry. I want to bring in our NBA analyst, Kendrick Perkins, into this conversation because, Perk, you played for the Celtics organization. What were your thoughts on this message here?
Word accountability, okay? Accountability doesn't just go to Ime Udoka, okay? Accountability goes to the other people that played a part in that as well. Let me tell you another thing I didn't like about my good friend Wick Grossbeck and Brad Stevens in this press conference when they asked, is anybody else going to be punished? And they said no. And my whole thing is this, right? These are some of the facts that have been out. These are some facts that I know that, you know, this relationship, one of these relationships that was had with Ime Udoka and one of these women, it was consensual, meaning that this woman actually played a part in it too. So my thing is, yes, Ime Udoka was wrong. We get that. His punishment, he deserved that, and whatever else follows, I hate it for him, but he put himself in this position. But why are the other people getting left off the hook?
Well,
that's the problem that I have right now. Everybody got to be held accountable.
I think that we need to circle back to what Shanae said, is that there was a investigation that was conducted by an independent law firm here. And I think that transparency is what will rule the day here. And so without having all of the information, it is unfair and irresponsible of us to go and to speculate on that, because what we have to...
Well, I'm not speculating.
Sure.
I have the information. I'm not speculating.
But what we have to go with here is the fact that an independent law firm came in, did this investigation, and the facts that they were presented, they came to the conclusion that Ime Udoka violated a policy that warranted a 1-year suspension. And I share your frustration with the lack of transparency, while understanding that there is some things that they need to, from a legal perspective, keep private. But knowing all of that, understanding all of that, we have to come to the conclusion that whatever rule, the conduct that was broken on one side, it is not the same on the other side. I thank you for your perspective.
As if it couldn't get any worse, then she decided to go back onto her show, I believe maybe a week later, when the Boston Celtics announced that they will be hiring Joe Mazzulla as their head coach. This woman decided to go on national television and share some things about this man's past that was completely irrelevant.
And now could become the NBA's youngest head coach at 34 years old. And we'd be remiss not to also mention that Mazzulla was arrested twice at West Virginia, once in 2008 for underage drinking and aggravated assault. He pled guilty, paid a fine, and then again in 2009 for domestic battery after an incident at Morgantown Bar.
Listen, I just want to interrupt for just a sec to say, if you are enjoying this video, I ask that you please hit that like button. If you enjoy my content, if you want to help the channel, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps pushes my video out there. I would really, really appreciate it. Also, subscribe to my second channel if you have not subscribed yet. Link is in the description. How are you even justified for that, right? How do you even still have a job for doing that? That wasn't right. He could have sued you for that, right? There was no reason to do that. Well, she's at it again. Jalen Rose, former NBA player, now sports analyst, was on NBA Today with Malika Andrews, and he hugged her. And I want you to take a look at what happened.
Where does it get your finger out of my armpit? Where does it get your finger out of my armpit?
But if you actually pay attention here, that's not what happened at all. In fact, look at Jalen Rose's hand. It's not within her armpit. It's not him trying to do anything suspect. It's as if she's trying to allude to him trying to touch her breast or inappropriately touch her in a sexual manner. That's not what the man was doing. And look at Jalen Rose's face. Just look at it. He already know what's going on. He already know what time it is. This was disgusting. But it doesn't stop there. Then we had Richard Jefferson, also a former NBA player, had a moment where he was on the set and he gave a handshake or something to this young lady. And look what he did after the fact. Now, for those of you who didn't catch it, just keep looking. It was as if he was in motion, and I blame this on muscle memory of so many years of playing in the NBA. He was about to screw on the butt. And you say, well, that's inappropriate. He shouldn't be doing that. Well, he didn't do it. That's first of all, he stopped himself. But they're making a big deal out of it just because it seemed as if he was about to do it. And for those of you who don't know, this is a very common thing in the NBA.
That's all right. Then how do you say it's the best if it's all that you try? And then the hip storm of weather and soon chicks are gonna hatch. We all know no chicks come cheap. How hard can you fly when the wind's on the top and making sweet love? Give me some time. Don't buy no car unless you won't test.
For me, it raises a bigger question. And that question is, should men and women work together? I know for a lot of you probably think that's absurd, that's a little bit extreme, but that's a legit question, bro. Because if it's not something like this, where it's inappropriately touching them, or the hug was too long, or it was too personal, or you made a comment that made them uncomfortable, even though the comment was a neutral comment. Now, if somebody is outright blatantly assaulting or harassing someone, that's different. But if you're just casually talking the way that you do with everyone else, and then a woman finds a way to be offended, bro, it's a lose-lose for men nowadays, right? Not to mention attire, right? Women wear things where certain body parts are a little bit revealed, a lot of skin is showing, And if a woman catches you even looking, I mean, we've seen what's been happening in the gyms in everyday life.
And when I stand up for myself, he threatens to call the police.
You're harassed, you're ridiculed for it, you're called out for it. So y'all up in the comment section, give me y'all thoughts. Do y'all think this is a little bit extreme, or should we be really having a legit conversation as to if men and women should be working together? We have different leagues for men and women, right? We separate men and women when it comes to certain things. We have different locker rooms, different bathrooms. Should we have different workplaces, right? Workspaces. Y'all hop in the comment section and y'all give me y'all thoughts, man. Until next time. Peace.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.